reaction. No reaction to the information. The grammar was correct, you know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of how to say, it's a kind of disease, whatever, or epidemic that we do not look at the message which is given, and we do not talk about that.
You said we're too busy, and it does take time, there's no doubt about it, but what I'm going to do in a sec after this, I'm going to give you some what I think are useful guidelines, things I've learned through trial and error, because it does take a long time, because these have taken me, I've done 10 and bringing out a new big book soon, it's taken me the best part of 2 years. No, I'm not suggesting you spend that long, but to do it well, it can take a long time. You are right. Another example here is just you got your standard gap fill. This is quite nice, I suppose, constructing a crossword, but so much more. I mean, Rocket Man, it's got quite a lot of deep or multiple meanings, whether you like the song or not. You know, it's not just all we wrote it one morning, first thing it came into his head. You know, so value the song a lot more.
Also the context. It was written in 1969.
Exactly.
50 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was thinking about space.
Yeah. Unless the songs are really rubbish, there's normally a lot of background to it that needs looking into. So I think what's happened here, I don't know if you like this. I've come up with this expression, and you know it's my expression because I've put my copyright on it. I think that people teachers and producers of materials, right, without having to go at everybody but me. No. People have fallen into what I've called the gap fill trap. You know, this idea that you have to produce a gap-fill activity from a song. But the problem is, you fall into a trap because as soon as you do that, you invalidate other activities that you might have done because they've already got the lyrics in front of them, unless you want to take them back again. It seems a bit mean, you know, and they've already filled it out, and what can you do? And then you move on. Well, I can't do much with songs. No, because you've done that. Try not doing that. Try limited use of the lyrics. I had to do it because you can't use the lyrics. I can't contact David Bowie's dead. You have to have a medium to contact him. But I can't contact David Bowie's estate and say, can I use your lyrics? But there are ways around these things. And it's really interesting to do that and to move to other levels. This pretty cat's going to go on for a while. So I think I've said all of this already, but you know, minimally using this resource is really mystifying because I don't understand why I understand exactly your point that teachers don't have time, absolutely. But the coursebook producers do, right? So they've gone, oh God. Some of them said to me, they said, oh, we spent a year getting that song. I thought, yeah, you spent a year getting it. You spent about an hour working on it. That don't make any sense to me, you know. Yeah. So they get the copyright clearance for the lyrics and then they do so little with it. And the theorists are with me here. It's not as if I'm going renegade, you know. Oh, Maverick, you know, Frida Mishan says, you know, American Pie by Don McLean, you know that song and the multiple meanings it has, is in a well-known course book, one of the ones that we had before. And what they end up doing is okay, let's look at the end of lines and rhymes, and they'd rhyme chants with dance. Okay, we've really explored that then. No need to spend any more time on American Pie then, is there? We've done that. Crazy. And what doing this does is it dismisses the literary value of songs. Obviously, I've picked a particular example there, but there are much less worthy ones that also have great literary value as well, including rap. You know, the linguistic value and all the multiple things we talked about already you can do. You know, one day I'll talk to someone, they'll explain to me why this happened, but it won't make any sense. They won't have an explanation that I buy into. And the psychological and emotional value that's there within music, within lyrics, with everything. Yeah, the context around everything like that. So, I'm going back to the past here, because he's a great chap, and he's always got some very sensible things to say. And we live in a world today, especially in Britain, where there's not a lot of sense going on. So when we do find a bit of sense, it's quite nice to refer to it. So in a book called Singing Grammar by Mark Hancock, if you know him as a Pron expert, lovely bloke, he says, well, what you could do is this is a dummy's guide, if you're not sure how to use a song, ask yourself these questions. Yeah? Have a quick read of that, save my voice. What kind of activity would you do with a song that fits into that category? I've made you all fall asleep by talking too much. It's nearly lunchtime. Okay, all right, I'll give you the answer. You know, he says in this book, that's obviously lends itself to a listening skill activity. So does it provide a good illustration of a structure that you want to present? Does it include a lexical field, which fits well in the course? Someone's got it already. Is the pron, so look, it's first of all, it's grammar structure, lexis, and pron. So putting that together, we would call that...
Follow up. What to the after that?
Well, yeah, language-based.
Language-based.
Yeah. And the other one, clear characters or an obvious plot. Could you discuss the poetic images, for example, cultural background to a song? And that one would be...
Writing.
Very simply, a theme-based activity. So they're the three big basic activities that he thinks emerges from songs for different people. And that's a very good thing to remember. Very good book as well. So, as I said at the start, if we want to have decent, pedagogically sound materials, we do actually need to make our own. There's a few out there, but not very many. But we need some principles. So I set about thinking, how can I do this? And I'm conscious that we've only got, I think, 15 minutes left. So this is where you're going to get into your 10 groups and read what I've put there and see if you agree with it. So you're going to have one each of these golden rules. But before we do this, what we need to do is we need to relax. So is everyone feeling relaxed? Yeah? I want you to clear your minds of those kind of gap fill and other preconceptions. And I want you to repeat this mantra. You know what a mantra is, right? 3 times, and everybody's got to do it because I'm going to be watching you. Right? Songs do not have to be taught. You're supposed to songs do not have to be taught in any particular way. And again? Songs do not have to be taught in any particular way. And again? Songs do not have to be taught in any particular way. Thank you. And I've got evidence on there if anyone was not doing it, so you'll be in trouble later on. Right, so I'm going to give you one each of these and see what you think, basically, about what I've said. This was an effort to really kind of reduce it and break it down. So you've got 3, 4, 2 groups in? Okay, let's see how we go for numbers. So you 3 as a group, you 2 as a group. So we need 3 more groups. Yep, that's you 3. And at the back you've got number 10. So just have a look at it, have a read, see if you think you agree and if you'd like to add anything to it.
What's the task?
You're just having a read and having to think about it, whether you think it makes sense. Is there anything you'd like to do? Agree with it? Is there anything you'd like to add? Yeah. I mean, so the question would be, in terms of paying attention to the lyrics,
So this is the I see the there was a joke about it's when I was a child.
So all you're doing is reading through it and thinking, does it make sense? Do I agree? Is there anything I'd like to add in that category?
Is vague, and I come to people a lot. So, knowledge is power. Francis Bacon. What about Francis Bacon? Yeah, that's correct. And when he learned how to read, he Francis Bacon, and he understood.
Are we good? Is everyone all right? So we're going to go through one group at a time. We're going to have to move quite quickly because we've got the freebie thing. is coming up, and I don't want to run out of time for that. But lunch is 1 o'clock, so I think we have that time to play with if we want. So this group over here had number 1. And number 1, you haven't seen it, but number 1 said this. I think that was all. No, that was that bit there. What did you think about number 1?
We do agree that we should choose, that we should listen, that we should respect also the lyrics, and to immerse ourselves and live it through in order to.
Yeah, lovely.
If
Yeah,
we do this, we are well prepared for giving it to feed with this our students.
exactly. Yeah, this is important. This really listen to it. People think they listen to a song. Did you really? You know, sometimes I heard this. You know, you had a bit of a surface listen. That's what coursebook designers have been doing, I think.
Find the lyrics.
Yeah. So we go on to group number 2. Remind me who that was. You've got number 2 in front of you. If you've got number 2, then group number 2. So that was what it says on theirs. You haven't seen it yet. Any comments or anything you'd like to add on that?
We struggled with what it means to locate the lyrics.
Just find them.
Google
them, or go to a lyric site or wherever you know. Sometimes, yeah, that's the most obvious place nowadays, isn't it? Yeah. This is a step that's sometimes skipped. Actually, just thinking, well, I'm going to use this song for the purposes of getting to know the song. Just make sure that I know what those lyrics are, right?
I'm sorry,
Okay, we had them on the green earlier with the horse on 7th Avenue. Excuse me while I kiss this guy, that kind of thing. So group number 3, that was over there. They had this one.
Important is the theme is connected with the song.
Yeah. I mean, theme is everything, isn't it? I think if you have to say one thing above everything else in a song, this me personally, I would say the theme, because of the exploration you can do with it, and how you might fit it into things you're currently discussing or important issues in the world, you know, that you could learn through. 4 was mood. That was the group at the back, was it? They had this one. I don't want to speak. Do the mood.
As the representative of group number 4, I say that, well, but that is a collective statement.
Okay.
Well, it is about me. Or the very first thing that I would like to say is that you are to experience certain kind of feeling before you ask your students to feel something about the song. You need to understand what you feel about it.
Exactly.
So you should listen to it, of course, more than once. And
of course, remembering that music and mood affects people in a huge amount of ways.
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And one more thing, actually, you should be ready. You should know more about the song just than it is about some words or grammar structures, because what you feel, your students should feel. If you are, how to say it, if you are true about it, it will work. If they don't feel that you are interested in it, it won't bring the result that you want to achieve.
I think that's a lovely
that is why I think, actually, that's what the presentation taught me about, is that you should be responsible, you should learn far more about it all. You should be prepared.
Lovely.
But it's a pretty good result to be used at your lesson.
I'm glad I've got that on video, just because I'm going to listen to that again later. Thank you very much. That's lovely. We can have a round of applause, I think. Very good. Yeah, the whole idea of music soaking into them. You know, this is what music does. It affects people in different ways. It doesn't just affect you, everybody in the same way that it affects you. You know. So who was group number 5, which is the big question of to video or not to video? Was this the group at the back? Tell me, because I can't remember who had 5.
Yeah, we're 5.
Okay, right. And their 5 said that?
I think that all the points there make sense.
Yeah.
But it depends on the students and the teacher himself. He knows well, I mean, how reachable the song is for the student.
Yeah.
So, am I going to include the video or not? It depends. It really depends on the song, on the theme, on the student.
Yeah.
And this where the work of the teacher comes in being selective, in preparing before going to the classroom, in thinking a lot.
Lovely, because some videos are brilliant. You can think of just numerous things to do with them, but other videos are just trash, really.
But the points there are relevant, actually. It just depends on the teacher.
Yeah, lovely.
And the song, and I mean.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for that, Kamal. So the whole thing here is, you know, I don't think, because I'm a bit sort of, do students, well, we need to give them a visual element, do we? Or have we told ourselves we need to? You know, I don't think it's something that you should automatically fall into because it is a formulaic response to do that. But having said, you know, like the video for money, fantastic. You know, the generation of so much vocabulary. Sorry, I just flicked that probably at the second that anybody was doing that. I will make these available via however EdYOUFest is going to do this. But I know it's nice to have them now. So who was number 6?
Okay. All the teachers are important to follow while preparing for the lesson, and the thing that we should take into consideration their targets of our lesson, also the age of students, their level of English, and of course there is no general formula, so that's why we should be well prepared and take into consideration different factors.
Yeah, this is a really tough one.
Yeah.
And well, it has been for me, because when I've done the materials, I've faffed around and changed it. It makes more sense there. And this is where the time-consuming nature comes in there. But it also is a very important one. So sometimes with something, if it's of such importance, you have to kind of dig in and spend a bit of time on it to make sure you get it right. And also, if you do it in a nice, if staged in a nice way, sometimes the option comes to skip bits out, and they can sort of link up still. Yeah. Who did number 7, linguistic possibilities?
We did.
Okay. Yeah. Quite a general one, this one, but important nonetheless.
So listening to songs and songs activity can give you a lot of possibilities to learn and to make improve linguistic skills. For example, a song can give you a lot of possibilities in terms of pronunciation and idioms learned, or expressions that you don't know, words, unknown words, and so on. I think it's a good strategy.
Lovely, thank you very much. Because you will notice some of these we kind of dealt with already. It was just to have things down. Boundaries.
Yeah, well,
okay.
Here, the last sentence there, but you come out as a music freak, not a control freak.
Yeah.
Because if you come out as a control freak, it's all will fall apart. The thing you have to prepare for is that when you do the activities, you set up, I mean, you can set up the guidelines, but you want to make sure that if they do go past the guidelines, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't get freaked out because, oh, you didn't do it the way I asked you to do it.
Yeah.
So I think the phrase a music freak rather than control freak, show that you really like it, you get into it, you know, you might be making some moves up there, and I think that will do it. Because you do have to direct it. I mean, you can ask the students to direct it. How is it going to turn out? I don't know. I mean, that's a little...
Absolutely.
If you prepared, you show them what you want to be done, and then if they do it in the course of it, they're not doing what you asked.
Yeah, that's good.
Just let it go.
What I had in mind here was the point at which, obviously, nowadays you've got in your pockets, or in this case videoing what I'm doing here to make it available to people later, you have got a computer, right? So they can, if they just go, oh yeah, I'll watch the video or check the lyrics, you need to kind of say when, because, they're a student, you're a teacher, you know more about the theory and when to bring stuff in. So you have to kind of occasionally say, oh, no, we'll look at the lyrics later, maybe. So if you allow free scope, that's going to ruin these activities, maybe. This is where, but that's the balance, but not, and then taking the fun out of it. It's a difficult one, actually, but making sure that they're gaining the maximum possible they can gain from that. Thank you very much. So number 9, let's talk about the students again.
Yeah, that was like student focused, and to me it means that you as a teacher, you just can't relax with the lesson plan. Like you've developed a plan for one group, but it's not going to work in the same way with another group. So you always tailor it to certain students' needs. You have to anticipate their particular challenges.
Lovely.
You have to feel their mood, and even like you can just decide what exactly you're going to do when you walk in the classroom.
That's right. It's a mystery, though, isn't it? Having the same lesson and it never goes the same way twice, and it can bomb, and then it's such a success. You go, well, what do they do? You know, it's one of those things we'll never understand.
For the students, not for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Lovely. Thank you very much. And going to number 10, ending with appropriately with the idea of exuding confidence in this. You know, some people go in with, oh my God, I'm doing a song. Will they like the song? Who cares? You know, what you want them is to learn stuff from the lesson, enjoy the experience, not necessarily the song. Enjoy the experience, right? Sorry, I'm taking stuff away from you guys.
Totally, yes. You have to do a song you like yourself. That has to come across.
Yeah, okay.
They can help the students learn in a different way when they are having fun. So it's a way of making them feel more confident in the future, because they can learn without so much effort.
Lovely. There's something going on with songs that isn't acknowledged enough. And the number of times I've heard a student say, oh, that's that teacher 20 years ago, or that person 20 years ago, they did a song with me in a class. No, 20 years ago. And you ask them, did they do the present perfect? Who gives them? You know, they don't remember things like that, but they remember songs. There's something going on there that we really need to kind of hold on to, really. But what's happened, I think it seems to me, in ELT, EFL, etc., we've kind of disconnected with songs, and I've been fighting what I've felt sometimes a bit of a losing battle, you know, to keep people's interests up. And it's really good to have so many people here. Obviously, it's quite a small room, but you know, to see that there is this love for what you can do, and this, you know, we've missed out. We're ignoring something somewhere, and we need to reconnect. So now comes the exciting part. In a minute, well, I'm going to give, well, maybe exciting. I'm going to give away some of these samplers. Now, these are samplers of a book I haven't quite finished, but it's nearly there. And I'm going to show you very briefly some of the activities. I'm not going to talk about them in any detail. It's just an example of some of the many things it's done. So this book here, which you can't see very well, because the thing is called, what I've done with these books is I've given them titles that are related to the theme. So I haven't used the name of the song as a title, because I don't think that's maybe morally acceptable, and I didn't want to do it anyway. So this is called Fight for Your Rights. So this is a song by Katy Perry's Raw, okay? Might not be everybody's cup of tea, it's actually not mine. But there's a lot in this book to do with, you know, the position of women, you know, and things like that. So I've explored that in this book. One of the activities I focused on was, you know, this the common usage. So gonna, wanna, and gotta. You know, would you want them to produce that? You may or may not, but certainly you need them to understand it. So receptive understanding. You know, how is it formed? Can you make a positive, negative? Can you make a question form from these different ones? So, and that's probably a bad example of what's in the book. This is up for grabs, right? You can use your phones if you like. The question is, and you might need to use your phones unless you know the song very well. Now, the question is, she paraphrases two famous African Americans in this song. Which two African Americans does she paraphrase? Use your phones. If you want to check through the lyrics, unless you know. Now, last time I did this, somebody knew the answer straight away, but it looks like nobody knows it. Which two famous African Americans does she paraphrase? It's virtually a rip-off of the quotes. And the winner will get this book. One will not be enough. If you get one, you'll have just given half the answer if it's correct to somebody else. You need both. Charles knows the answer. you could Google that question, or you could just look through the lyrics. I guess that would be the option.
Give us 2 more minutes.
Does anyone think they see any lines in it that
Tina Turner and Muhammad Ali.
You've got one correct answer. I'm not going to say which one. One of those two is correct. So you, at the moment, I'll have to split the book in half. No.
Can you tell us what the 2 were that lady said?
She said Muhammad Ali and Tina Turner. One of the 2 of those is correct.
So Muhammad Ali.
Okay, maybe. I'm waiting for your set of 2 answers to say whether it's right or wrong.
Well, one's probably
Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X.
Ali
and Malcolm X.
Well done. Would you like to tell everybody the answer and how you got that? Well done. So what we'd like an explanation now in case it was just their luck. Can everybody listen?
Malcolm X.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X.
And the reason for that?
I mean, just one of the 2 significant.
There's lyrics. There's actual physical. It's very well done if you didn't identify the lyric. But there's actual physical lyrics.
Yeah.
Sting like a butterfly. No, sting like a butterfly. Fly. Was it like a butterfly? Sting like a bee. Was it? Fly like a butterfly. Sting like a bee. And the Malcolm X. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Which is one of the best quotes, I think, ever. Right? So that was well done if you got it without that. Okay, so we've now got an example from this one, which is, I've called this filthy lucre. You might not know the term, but this is an old term for money. It's a negative term. The band The Sex Pistols used this for an album, actually. But this looks at the positives, well, the negatives and some positives about money, i.e. the use of philanthropy amongst those who are wealthy. This is up for grabs now. The activity that I've highlighted from there is a very, very simple one on using conditionals in a moral dilemma sense. So you get, it's quite nice. You know, what would you do in this situation? You know, they could write it down or they could speak. It would be up to you. So what would you do if you found a bag of money in the street or on the street? What would you do if you saw your best friend using somebody else's credit card? And I saw this happening as well. What would you do if you saw a bag of expensive items outside a closed charity shop? Seen people making up for that. So this is kind of things for them to talk about and elaborate on. The question here might be a bit easier than the first one. Now, Pink Floyd played a very famous gig in Pompeii, in the beautiful country of Italy, in 1972. How many people attended? First correct answer wins the book.
70,000.
Nope. There's one guess. Unfortunately for Kamal, there's one guess each, and when you get a nope.
Which year?
1972. They played in Pompeii, in the auditorium. Is it?
3,000.
Nope.
52,000.
Nope. I better add because the devil's in the detail. They do say, don't they? This is 1972.
Okay, is it a rounded number or is it an exact number?
It's an exact number.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
You might be looking at the recent gig that David Gilmour on his own did there. Ah, lovely, well done.
How many?
No one.
None. Do you know any background of that?
No.
Oh, well, once again, well done. You've got the right answer, we're not sure how. Very simply, what happened in Pompeii was... Yeah, the local, give me the word in Italian. The kind of local committee. Comune, the local comune said, you can play there, but you can't have any people. Right, so the only audience, but they're not audience, was the road crew themselves. So they decided to film it for posterity. If you ever see it, it's absolutely fantastic to watch. But there was nobody there. This figure was for a more recent thing that David Gilmour did, I think, on his own. So it wasn't in 1972. Well done. One book to go, which is this book. This has been popular lately because, well, a few weeks ago, because of course it was the 50th anniversary of the moon landings. What did I find in this? Lots of different things. This one I'd like to highlight to you was just, I mean, we had a very similar example from Lonnie earlier, I keep referring to Lonnie, where it's just finding direct speech and then reporting it, so playing around with language. So if you know the song, if you can recall it in your head, you've got Major Tom, haven't you, up there in this dodgy little tin can, as he calls it, floating above in space, and they don't really know what they're doing in this song. And he's talking to ground control. So in the song he says, "You've really made the grade." So you would then report that as ground control said he had really made the grade. Yeah? And then he says, "I'm stepping through the door." And then you'd say the major says he was stepping through the door. There's a lot more of that because there's a lot more direct speech to be reported. More importantly, because you're more interested in this, question for this. I've got a choice of two actually. I'm going to have to think which one I pick. Okay. There was a cover version made of this quite recently. Don't ask me exactly when, but when I say quite recently, it means the last 3 or 4 years probably.